Welcome gamers, today we're going to take a look at Starblade. This was an arcade rail shooter developed and published by Namco back in 1991, 2 years before Starfox first hit the SNES. And here's the thing, there's long been an argument that the development of Starfox was heavily influenced by this game, and upon first look, it's not hard to figure out why. Look at the graphics. It kind of feels like they took the concept for Starfox from this game. And so anyways, yeah, this game is almost 3 decades old. This was really amazing graphics back in the early 1990s. 1991, video game development technologies were still extremely primitive. I mean, we're talking about the days of the Sega Genesis. You know, which the Genesis really did not have all that compelling of graphics, and this was just, this was state of the art. And so while this was originally an arcade game, this was later ported to a number of consoles, including the 3DO, Panasonic's 3DO, the Sega CD, yes, there was a Sega CD version of this game, and even a PlayStation version. And here we got these asteroid belts. Man, this feels a lot like Starfox. And so I'm running this in Mame, and it actually runs pretty well. There's some glitches with the audio, and the frame rates drop a little bit in certain points. But for the most part, the controls are pretty good. It works very well with the mouse. One thing to note, there's so much stuff flying at you at times on the screen, it almost feels impossible just to hit everything. There's a lot of enemies. And if you're a fan of Starfox, man, you probably really like this game. Now, as far as the PlayStation version goes, it really was not that great. I didn't think the graphics were all that good. The Sega CD version was really bad. The graphics were horrible. I don't recommend that one at all. It emulates pretty good as well, and so does the PlayStation version. But I didn't find them all that compelling. And the explosions in here are pretty cool. I really like that. It's just hard to imagine that this game is from back in 1991. You know, 3D technology back then. I mean, the graphics in this game are almost comparable to some modern games today. And the funny part is a lot of people have never heard of this game. They've never heard of Starblade. You know, everybody's played Firefox, right? That was super popular when that came out in the SNES. And people have no idea that the game was actually influenced by this, by Starblade.
Taking a quick turn.
And so this is definitely a rail shooter. You definitely do not control your movements. You can control your aiming, reticule, but you cannot control the movement of your ship. If you've played Star Wars Arcade, you know that you can pretty much control the directional movements of your ship. In this game you cannot. It's definitely a rail shooter. Oh, they're shooting missiles at me everywhere. That's what I'm talking about. You have so much stuff flying at you, it's just hard to hit everything. Seems like some of the enemies just will not die, too. Wow. Oh my god. It's like a roller coaster. Yeah, a lot of real mind-bending movements in this game at certain points in time. Although it does start to feel a bit repetitive after a while, it's definitely not as compelling as Starfox was. And even if they were influenced with the development of Starfox after this game, I would say Starfox was a much better game. It's far more compelling. This felt more simplified in its design, kind of in a way that's similar to, say, the vector graphics, the 3D vector graphics of Star Wars Arcade. Which, you know, there's actually several different versions of that. There was a Sega version in 1993 that had vector graphics. And then, of course, you had the Atari version, which I believe was from 1983. And we covered those games. We actually have videos of Star Wars Arcade, both the Sega version and the Atari version. But I don't think this game was, I think part of the reason people don't know about it was because it wasn't heavily mass produced. I mean, this was not a game that you found in your typical arcade. I think this was more of an experiment for Namco when they developed this game.
The eye is shielded by special energy shields. There are locating the danger. Shields low. Danger. Shields low.
And you die a lot in this game. It's another thing to note.
Under attack. Energy shields increasing. This is a team leader here. This is team leader.
Got these sort of like hovercraft vehicles that kind of hover on the ground. These floating battleships.
Navigating the ravine in order to avoid radar detection. Making a quick turn. You're under attack. Energy shields decrease.
Under attack.
Making a quick turn.
Very, very blocky 3D graphics. It really does feel very similar to the original Star Fox. It was like when they came out with Star Fox 64, man, they had really smoothed it out. That was like true 3D. It was amazing. Wow, look at all these missiles.
Shields low. Shields low. Attack the port, GSO. I'll attack the Starblade.
And you don't have anything other than this primary gunner. I mean, that's pretty much what you're stuck with throughout the course of the game. There's no missile attacks or anything like that. You can't interchange your weapons. That's one of the things I didn't like about this game. But it looks like the focus was purely on the development of 3D graphics, and that was really where they were aiming with this. It doesn't seem like they were really focused on the gameplay mechanics, more so that they were focused on testing out technologies with 3D. And you have no other points of view. It's not like you can change your cockpit. You're pretty much stuck with the same point of view throughout the entire game.
Making a rapid descent. Shields low. Danger. Attack the port USO and all attack the Starblade. Over.
You can see the background. Just not very compelling. It's a lot of really blocky graphics.
Under attack. Energy shields decreasing.
Still fun to play.
Warning. Located enemy flagship commander.
What would have been really cool is if they had created more like an open world environment where you control the ship. That would have been great. And have the ability to change your viewing perspective to, say, a third person view. That would have been awesome.
Destroy power stone.
And now we gotta destroy this thing. These diamonds. And the sound in this game, I don't like the music. The sound effects are alright. The background sound is not all that exciting. Good explosions. I do like these scenes.
All wing ships launch. Over.
And now we just this whole planet's gonna like blow up. And this is pretty much the end of the first stage. And there goes the Star Wars Death Star, right?
Verify octopus energy source has decreased and stopped up. Mission accomplished. Return to base now. Located enemy flagship commander. Geosaur, come in, Geosaur. This is team leader. This is team leader.
You can see there's just so much stuff just being thrown at you. And it seems like the flashes are so bright at times it's like you can't even see the aim on the screen. Like right there, those giant flashes just make it really difficult to aim. And even if Starfox was influenced by this game, it looks like the development of this game was heavily influenced by Star Wars. You know, they got the whole Death Star thing going on here. And by the way, if you're gonna play this in Mame, it will try to default to a controller setup. You can open up your main Mame configuration file and set your mouse to from 0 to 1 if your mouse is not working. Pretty much regardless of whichever, you know, version of Mame you're using.
Making a steep rise. Find the iceberg control center. The weak points appear to be in a projection that's under attack. Located in flagship command center. GSSR, come in GSSR. This is Team Leader. Destroy the control center, GSSR. We'll cover you. Over. Destroy all the projections.
And now we gotta blow all these things up. And they're gonna hammer us with these bombs, these asteroids. It would have been nice if you had like a secondary gunner and maybe some special bomb attacks. That would have been great. Wow. I think we got it.
You're under attack. Enemy destroyed by force.
Yeah, it's about to blow up.
Shields low. Danger. Shields low. You're under attack. Energy shields decreasing. The surviving enemy fighters.
And now we gotta fight this guy. These enemies already take a lot of hits as it is. You can never seem to take them out. Alright, where did you go? Where the heck is he? There he is. Now this thing's gonna crumble and explode. I think he's almost dead. Oh, and he's gone. I got him. And so that's pretty well it. That's the end of the game. Anyways, really interesting. I could definitely see where people will get the idea that this was somehow inspired, Star Fox was somehow inspired by the development of this game, because it really feels very, very similar to this. Anyways, many thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe to stay up to date with our latest videos. Check out Gamerspace Community on Google+. Follow our official brand page on Google+, for the latest gaming news and reviews. And until next time, take care.